Hi friends, I'm Corey from Alpenglow Basin Fiber Arts. I share crochet tips, tutorials, and designs, all to help elevate your crochet. In my last video, I demonstrated how to make these adorable little crochet wristlet keychains. This is my Highline keychain, and I demonstrated how to make the solid version. The pattern also has a striped version. It has instructions on how to add a little leather tag to the end of it. There's lots of variations in the pattern. So if you haven't checked that out yet, what are you waiting for? Get on it. So in ordering my supplies to make these keychains, I ordered these hooks. And in my last video, I mentioned that I bought mine at Joann. And as much as I love Joann, their price was astronomical. And I found a much cheaper source of these on Amazon. So I will link all the links I can in this video to link to supplies that might help you get what you need for this project at the best price you can find. So along with this bulk bag of hooks came these tiny little D-rings. I don't know if you can see that, but this is a 1/2 inch D-ring that matches the 1/2 inch swivel hook that I bought for that pattern. I was trying to think of what could I do with this little D-ring to make use of it. So I consulted with my design consultant, who is my teenage daughter, and she came up with the idea of making lip balm holders so that when you have your keychain, you can clip on to the lip balm holder and you've got your keychain with that attached. And honestly, that was a fantastic idea because we live in Colorado and it's very dry here. And it's really nice to have a lip balm on my keychain at all times, and I've used it so much since I've started making these. So today, this is what we're going to make. And I don't even have a pattern for this. It's so simple. It's so straightforward that I'm just going to show you how to make that here in this tutorial and set you off to make your own because it is that easy. I want to show you how to make two very slightly different sizes for this to accommodate different sized lip balms. This is your standard normal size lip balm. The Chapstick is the same size as this. This is Burt's Bees. This is one that accommodates a thicker, almost a lipstick thickness lip balm. This is an EOS. So you insert your lip balm in there, and then when you want to use it, you just pull it out and off you go. And then back in there. And they stay in really well. They're nice and tight so they don't fall out. And yeah, so let's talk supplies. We'll need some yarn. I really love the 24/7 cotton by Lion brand for this project. It's a nice durable yarn. This is the color Ecru. However, I'm going to demonstrate in a little darker color so it's easier for you to see on camera. This is a number 4 weight yarn. It recommends that you use a 4mm hook. I will be using a 4mm Susan Bates hook. And then of course we're going to need a little 1/2 inch D-ring. So if you bought the same bag of hooks that I did, it came with the D-rings, but I believe that you can source these separately if you don't have some. And then we'll need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle to weave in ends, and then this is completely optional. If you want to use a stitch marker, you can. I'm going to show you the lazy way of doing this as well as how you can use a stitch marker if you want to be very, very exact in your rounds. All right, let's get started. We're going to start out making a magic circle, and I'll demonstrate how I make mine. I hold my yarn between my ring finger and my thumb, and I wrap it behind my fingers and then back over, crossing it, and then I grab the other end with my pinky. So if I flip it over, I'm holding it on this side and I'm just squeezing it here with my pinky. I go underneath this first loop, grab the yarn, and as I'm pulling it through, I twist it so that it crosses over on my hook. And then I just simply yarn over with that yarn tail and pull it on through. And that has locked in that magic circle, and we're ready to get started. So the two different sizes here, to make the smaller one, we're going to add 9 half double crochets into our magic ring. To make the larger version, we're going to add 10 half double crochets right into our ring. And I'm going to make the larger one today. And to make a half double crochet, you simply yarn over your hook, insert into the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 of those loops on your hook. Okay, there's 1 half double crochet. Here's another, yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3, yarn over, insert, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Okay, I've got 3 of them on there. I'm going to go a little quicker here. 9 and 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yep, there they are. Okay, so now at this stage, we just need to take this tail that's sticking out, and when we are crocheting in that ring, I should have mentioned to crochet right over the top of the tail. And we're going to pull that tail to tighten up the ring. There we go. There was a little bit of slack in there. So when you pull it nice and tight, that center hole pretty much disappears. And we're going to go ahead, and we're not even going to join here. We're just going to find the top of that very first half double crochet. And in that, we're going to place a single crochet, but we're going to borrow a technique from the Amigurumi crowd and make our single crochets in a way that makes them quite tight. And to do that, we're going to insert into the stitch as we normally would. And if we were doing a normal single crochet, at this phase, we would yarn over and then pull up that loop. But instead, we're going to yarn under. So basically the way I yarn under is I just put my hook over and I grab the yarn and pull it back through that stitch. What that does is because you have less of a wrap, you wind up with a little tighter tension on this stitch, and it just makes a nice compact single crochet stitch that has a little bit of a cross in the strands. So now that we're at this phase, we've yarn undered, we pulled up that loop, and now we can just yarn over as we normally would to finish out that single crochet. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over again. So we insert into the stitch, we yarn under to pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops. And that is our single crochet. And we are going to place 10 of those around, 1 in each stitch, all the way around. And this may feel very awkward to yarn under. It is at first, I have to admit that, but once you start getting some muscle memory, it goes really pretty easy after you get used to it. So just stick with it, keep going, and you'll have it in no time. All right, I got to count my stitches here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I thought so. Okay, so we are to stitch number 10, and that's it. So I will make my first stitch of the next round, not joining. We've got stitch number 10 on our hook. I'm not going to join. I'm just going to go right into this. So we're working in what's called continuous rounds. And when you're working in continuous rounds, it is incredibly easy to lose track of where the first stitch of the row is, of the round. It just kind of blends in because you're working in a continuous spiral up the top. So the only way really to keep track of that first stitch is to use a stitch marker and to mark it. So then every time you come back around to the first stitch, you would move your marker up one round to mark the first stitch of the next round. Here's the deal. These are, I go the lazy route with these. There are projects where I absolutely mark that first stitch every time. But when I do these, I'm going to be adding approximately 10 rounds for the smaller size, or for the larger size, I add 11 rounds. But I just estimate it. I really don't keep track of that first stitch because I don't like to slow down to have to move a stitch marker. And that's a little bit of a guilty thing on my part, but that is my true confession. I hate using stitch markers most of the time unless there's a darn good reason for it. And I just don't think the reason is strong enough in making these tiny little lip balms because it works out just fine. And I'll show you as we get up there how I kind of estimate when I have enough stitches. What I do want to mention at this point though is now is a good time to stop and weave in this end. And the reason I say that is because if you wait till the end to weave this end at the bottom in, you have to turn it inside out. And they're so narrow and so tightly made that it's actually quite difficult to do that, and it really stretches them. So I just stop quick here when I remember. I stop and weave in this end, and I actually like to make a little bit of a knot here when I'm doing, I gotta get this pulled through. Wrong one. I like to make a little bit of a knot when I'm doing this just to keep that bottom nice and tight so it won't open up on me. And that will take care of that. And then once I've got that, I don't really weave very far because these ends are not gonna pop out. I just tuck them in and snip it off so that I don't have to deal with it by turning it inside out to be able to weave it in later. Okay, so I think this was our first stitch of the round. And again, I'm not even gonna really pay attention at this point to which round I'm on there. I almost did my stitch wrong. So remember, insert, yarn under, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Insert, yarn under, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Okay, so I want you to keep going until you have your several rounds made, and at some point we'll stop and start counting to approximate where we're at. You can also just keep slipping the lip balm into your little cylinder that you're making as you're making it so that you get to a point where you kind of know when you want to stop. Okay, so let's keep going, working on our own, and we'll meet back up when I am close to the length that we're looking for, and I'll show you how I decide when to stop. Okay, I am coming up to what I think is about the right length, and I am finishing up my last stitch here. And I want to show you, because we didn't use the stitch marker, what I do is I just kind of pinch the thing flat at the bottom, and I look for the top. And if it's fairly even, I might have started on the next row with that last stitch that I made. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bit higher, but it's pretty even overall. I don't see like a big stack of stitches on the back. So I'm gonna call that good, and I am going to count to see how many stitches I have. And if you lay it flat again, you see your bottom ring of half double crochets, and then you can kind of tell where each of the rows are. There's like two little stitch V's that are going up in this direction, and I like to count those. So my first one is right here, and we'll just count and see how many rows we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It does look like I've added a couple stitches from the next row, so I'm going to pull those back. So we're right about in the right spot here. Let's check one more time. If I follow this one down, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we're at 11 rounds of our single crochet with the yarn under on the first pull through. Okay, so now we're going to make the little flap that we need to hang off our D-ring. And to do that, we are going to crochet 5 stitches, the same way that we've been doing them all along. So yarning under, there's 1, there's 2, there is 3, number 4, and 1 more, number 5. So our little flap is going to be 5 stitches across, okay? And now we're going to turn our work, and we're going to work back over those same 5 stitches. And I don't even chain 1 here. You can if you want to. It just adds a little extra bulk. I'm just going to go right back into that same stitch. Whoops, yarning under, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 for my first single crochet. All right, there's 2. Here's 3. There's 4. And number 5. All right, so now we've got 2 rows. And once again, we're going to turn our work. And now we're going to add our D-ring into our 3rd row. To do that, we're going to do this much like we do with the keychain. We're going to insert in that first single crochet, pull up a loop, and instead of yarning over and pulling through, we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch. And while our hook is in there, we're going to put the D-ring on the hook. And then we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. We're going to try to keep these stitches kind of tight. Yarn over, pull through all 3. That's a single crochet, 2 together. Now we're going to do a regular single crochet, but working through that D-ring. We're going to, again, yarn under, pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2. And now we're going to deal with these last 2 stitches, similar to how we did with the first, except in the opposite order. So this time we're going to go through that first stitch and through the D-ring. And we're going to yarn under, pull up a loop. And now we're going to insert in that final stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, keeping everything nice and tight. Got 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 to complete that single crochet 2 together. And that's it. We pull up a little extra yarn so we can snip it off. Too much extra. And then we have our D-ring attached. And I'm going to go off camera here just for a moment and weave in this end. All right, I'm just gonna snip off my yarn nice and close to the work. Give it a little tug to pull that end in. And now to insert this EOS lip balm, this one is gonna be pretty tight, and it is for a good reason, because you want that cap to stay down in the holder when you pull the lip balm out to use it. So give that a nice stretch at the top just to help you get started. And then once you have done that and you get it threaded in, then you can just kind of twist it back and forth and it will go up the rest of the way. But it is quite tight the first time you put it on. Once you've had it on and off a couple times, it's not quite as tight, but it does stretch a little bit. It is cotton yarn, and there we have it. So now this is not going anywhere. I can pull my lip balm out, place it back in, clip it on my keychain, along with some keys. And there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm trying to grow it. hit the like button, ring the bell, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.